Hello there, and welcome back to Bedtime Science. I'm really glad you're here tonight. There is a particular kind of quiet that does not feel empty. It feels full of thought, full of observation, full of the private motion of a mind that does not need to announce everything it is doing. For many people, this quiet is not a withdrawal from life. It is where life becomes clearer. It is where the day is processed, where ideas connect, where emotions settle, and where the self begins to feel whole again after too much noise, too many voices, too many expectations, and too much stimulation arriving from every direction at once. Introversion is often described from the outside, and that is one reason it is so often misunderstood. From the outside, an introverted person may look reserved, cautious, quiet, detached, shy, or simply less enthusiastic than the people around them. But from the inside, introversion is usually not an absence of feeling or interest. It is a different rhythm of attention. It is a different relationship to stimulation. It is a different way of spending and recovering energy. It is a mind that often prefers depth over speed, intimacy over performance, observation over interruption, and meaningful connection over constant social motion. Introversion becomes most interesting when it is treated not as a label, but as a pattern of attention, reward, stimulation, and recovery. It touches personality psychology, developmental temperament, genetics, neuroscience, education, work, friendship, love, creativity, and the quiet architecture of an inner life. The question is not simply why some people are quiet. The question is why certain minds think more clearly when the world becomes quieter, why some nervous systems are nourished by depth rather than intensity, and why solitude, for some people, is not an escape from life, but one of the places where life is most fully understood. The first thing to understand is that introversion is not the same as shyness. Shyness is usually about fear or discomfort in social situations, especially fear of being judged, rejected, embarrassed, or seen in an unfavorable way. Introversion is more about preference and energy. A shy person may want very much to join a conversation, but feel too anxious to do so. An introvert may be perfectly capable of joining the conversation and may even enjoy it, but still prefer a smaller setting, a slower pace, and time alone afterward. The two can overlap, and many people have some of both, but they are not the same thing. Introversion is also not the same as social anxiety. Social anxiety is a clinical pattern involving persistent fear of negative evaluation and avoidance that can interfere with work, school, relationships, and ordinary life. Introversion, by itself, is not a disorder. It does not require treatment. It does not mean someone lacks social skill. Many introverts can speak in public, lead teams, host gatherings, teach classes, negotiate, perform, and hold demanding social roles. What distinguishes them is not inability but cost. They may do the social task well, and then need quiet afterward to recover from it. The word introversion entered modern psychology largely through Carl Jung, who described introversion and extroversion in the early 20th century as different orientations of psychic energy. In Jung's language, which was more philosophical than experimental, the extrovert person was oriented more strongly toward the outer world of people, objects, events, and action, while the introverted person was oriented more strongly toward the inner world of thought, reflection, subjective meaning, and private experience. Jung's theory was not modern personality science, but it gave psychology a vocabulary for something many people had already recognized in ordinary life. Later psychologists turned that vocabulary into measurement. Hans Eysenck, working in the mid-20th century, treated introversion and extroversion as a measurable dimension of personality. He proposed that introverts and extroverts differ in baseline cortical arousal, with introverts reaching their comfortable level of alertness with less external stimulation and extroverts often seeking more stimulation to reach the same level. The details of Eysenk's theory have been revised, challenged, and complicated by later research, but the central idea remains influential. People differ in the amount of external stimulation that feels optimal to their nervous system. Modern personality psychology usually describes introversion through the Big Five model, one of the most widely used frameworks for studying personality. In that model, extroversion is one of 5 broad trait dimensions, alongside openness, conscientiousness, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Introversion is not usually treated as a separate trait in itself, but as the lower end of the extroversion dimension. High extroversion is associated with sociability, assertiveness, enthusiasm, talkativeness, excitement-seeking, and the experience of frequent positive emotion. Lower extroversion, or introversion, is associated with quietness, reserve, lower need for external stimulation, preference for smaller social settings, and greater orientation toward internal experience. This is important because it means introversion is not a box. It is a spectrum. Most people are not pure introverts or pure extroverts. Most people fall somewhere between the extremes, with some introverted patterns and some extrovert patterns depending on context, age, confidence, culture, and the people around them. The person who is quiet in a work meeting may be lively with a trusted friend. The person who avoids parties may love teaching a subject they care about. The person who needs solitude every evening may still deeply value close relationships. Personality traits are not cages. They are tendencies, probabilities, and preferred rhythms. The continuous nature of introversion matters because popular culture often turns it into identity shorthand. Someone says, "I am an introvert," and the statement can feel like an explanation for everything. But science is usually more careful. It asks how strongly the trait appears, in what settings it appears, how stable it is over time, and what other traits interact with it. An introvert high in openness may seek novelty through books, ideas, art, travel, and imagination. An introvert high in conscientiousness may prefer organized, quiet productivity. An introvert high in neuroticism may experience overstimulation as worry or threat. An introvert low in neuroticism may simply enjoy solitude without much anxiety at all. Even within extroversion, there are smaller pieces. Some researchers distinguish between the enthusiastic side of extroversion, warmth, positive emotion, social pleasure, and the assertive side, dominance, leadership, and the willingness to take space. This matters because a person may be low in one part without being low in every part. Someone may be quiet and unassertive, but still warm. Someone may dislike crowds, but still be affectionate. Someone may avoid attention, but still care deeply about people. Introversion is easiest to misunderstand when it is treated as one solid object instead of a cluster of related but separable tendencies. One of the strongest findings in personality research is that major personality traits are partly heritable. Twin studies comparing identical twins, who share almost all of their DNA, with fraternal twins, who share about half, generally find that Big Five traits have substantial genetic influence, often in the broad range of 40 to 60% of variation between individuals. This does not mean there is a single introvert gene. There is not. It means many genes, each with tiny effects, influence systems involved in reward, arousal, sensitivity, emotion, and social motivation, and together they help tilt a person toward one temperament pattern or another. Heritability is often misunderstood. If a trait is heritable, it does not mean it is fixed, simple, or immune to experience. Height is highly heritable, but nutrition still matters. Language ability depends on biology, but it develops only through exposure. Personality works in a similar way. A child may be born with a nervous system that reacts strongly to novelty. or one that seeks high stimulation, or one that calms quickly after excitement. But the child's environment still shapes how those tendencies are understood, expressed, and managed. Temperament is not destiny. It is the starting tone of the instrument. Some of the earliest roots of introverted behavior can be seen in temperament. Developmental psychologists have studied infants and young children who show what is called behavioral inhibition, a tendency to respond to unfamiliar people, new objects, and uncertain situations with caution, watchfulness, or withdrawal rather than immediate approach. These children may pause before joining play, stay near a caregiver in new settings, and show stronger physiological responses to novelty. Behavioral inhibition is not identical to adult introversion, and it does not guarantee that a child will become an introverted adult, but it can be one early pathway toward a more cautious, internally regulated style of engagement with the world. Jerome Kagan's longitudinal work on temperament showed that some children are consistently more reactive to novelty than others. They are not necessarily unhappy children. They are simply more alert to what is unfamiliar. Their bodies may show higher heart rate, stronger stress hormone responses, and greater watchfulness in new situations. Over time, some become shy or anxious, especially if their environment teaches them that their caution is shameful. Others become thoughtful, observant, well-regulated adults who know how to enter new situations at their own pace. The same biological sensitivity can lead to different outcomes depending on context. The amygdala, a structure involved in emotional salience and threat detection, has often been discussed in relation to inhibited temperament and social caution. Some studies find that people with a history of behavioral inhibition show stronger amygdala responses to unfamiliar faces or uncertain social cues. This does not mean introverts are afraid all the time, or that introversion is simply fear. It means that some nervous systems may register novelty more strongly, giving the person more information to process before acting. A pause before engagement can be a sign of fear, but it can also be a sign of careful orientation. The dopamine system is another important part of the story. Dopamine is involved in reward learning, motivation, novelty, anticipation, and approach behavior. Extroversion has often been linked to stronger responses to reward cues, especially social and external rewards. This may help explain why extroverts often find lively social settings energizing. The room itself becomes a source of reward signals: faces, laughter, novelty, movement, possibility. Introverts may still enjoy those things, but the reward signal may not override the stimulation cost in the same way. The party may be pleasant and tiring at the same time. It is tempting to say that introverts are powered by one neurotransmitter and extroverts by another, but the real brain is not that simple. Popular writing sometimes claims that introverts are acetylcholine people, while extroverts are dopamine people. That can be a useful metaphor for readers, but it is not a settled neuroscientific map. Attention, reward, memory, learning, stress, social bonding, and motivation are spread across many interacting systems. Dopamine, acetylcholine, norepinephrine, serotonin, oxytocin, endogenous opioids, cortisol, and large cortical and subcortical networks. The safer and more scientific conclusion is not that introverts have one chemical and extroverts another. It is that the systems of reward, novelty, arousal, and recovery appear to be calibrated differently from person to person. This is one reason the most honest science of introversion sounds less dramatic than internet personality content. It does not say, this brain is one chemical and that brain is another. It says, here are probabilities, sensitivities, thresholds, and tendencies. It says that a noisy room may be rewarding and costly at the same time. It says that social pleasure and social fatigue can coexist. It says that a person may genuinely like people and still need to leave earlier than everyone else. The nuance is not weaker than the stereotype. It is more accurate and often more recognizable. A useful way to think about introversion is the idea of an optimal stimulation zone. Too little stimulation can feel dull, flat, or isolating. Too much stimulation can feel noisy, scattered, or draining. Everyone has a zone where they feel awake, engaged, and capable. The difference is that introverts may reach that zone with less external input. A quiet room, a focused task, a thoughtful conversation, or a walk alone may provide enough stimulation. Extroverts may need more movement, novelty, social contact, and external feedback to feel equally alive. Neither system is better. They are tuned differently. This tuning helps explain why the same event can feel completely different to two people. A large dinner with 12 guests, overlapping conversations, music, bright lights, and rapid emotional shifts may feel exciting to one nervous system and exhausting to another. The introvert is not necessarily judging the event. They may like the people. They may enjoy parts of the evening, but their attention is processing more than it can comfortably integrate for long. They may be tracking faces, tones, interruptions, possible responses, background noise, table movement, and the constant pressure to remain socially available. After 2 hours, their system has spent more energy than an extrovert person may realize. This is why solitude is not loneliness for many introverts. Loneliness is the painful absence of connection. Solitude is the presence of oneself without demand. For an introvert, solitude can be restorative because it removes the need to monitor and respond to external social signals. The mind can return to its own pace. Thoughts can lengthen. Emotions can settle. The nervous system can reduce input and re-establish coherence. The person may not be escaping from people. They may be returning to the internal conditions that allow them to meet people well again later. One of the great misunderstandings of introversion is the assumption that a need for solitude means a lack of affection. In reality, many introverts are deeply attached to the people they love. They may be loyal, attentive, emotionally serious, and capable of very strong bonds. But they often prefer connection in forms that allow depth. One-on-one conversations, shared silence, long walks, slow meals, written messages, or time together that does not require constant performance. They may feel closer to someone sitting quietly in the same room than in a crowded gathering where everyone is speaking over everyone else. Introverts often prefer depth over breadth in social life. This does not mean they are superior or more meaningful than extroverts. It simply means the reward structure differs. An extrovert may feel genuinely nourished by a wide network of acquaintances, frequent spontaneous conversations, and varied social contact. An introvert may feel nourished by fewer relationships that carry more context, history, trust, and emotional precision. The introvert may know fewer people, but know them more deeply. The extrovert may know more people and maintain a wider social field. Both are valid strategies for the social species that humans are. Conversation itself can have a different texture for introverts. Many introverts dislike small talk not because they dislike people, but because small talk requires a kind of social energy that may not offer much cognitive reward. It involves rapid turn-taking, light emotional signaling, and the maintenance of friendly surface contact without much depth. Small talk has real social value. It helps humans signal safety, politeness, belonging, and goodwill. But for introverts, it can feel like paying a high-energy price for a low-intensity reward. A deeper conversation, even with one person, may be far more satisfying. The introvert's pause before speaking is another often misread behavior. In many groups, the fastest speaker is assumed to be the most engaged, the most confident, or the most intelligent. But introverts often process internally before speaking. They may want to test an idea in their own mind, imagine objections, refine wording, and decide whether the contribution is worth making. By the time they speak, the conversation may have moved on. This does not mean they had nothing to say. It may mean their thinking operated on a different time scale than the group rewarded. This difference matters in schools and workplaces. A classroom that rewards immediate verbal participation may mistake speed for understanding. A meeting culture that values brainstorming out loud may mistake talk volume for creativity. An open plan office may treat interruption as collaboration. But not all good thinking looks socially visible while it is happening. Some of the best ideas arrive after quiet reflection, after written processing, or after a person has had time to work through a problem alone. The structure of the environment determines whether introverted strengths are recognized or wasted. Research on brainstorming has often found that people generate more ideas, and often more original ideas, when they first think independently before entering group discussion. Group brainstorming can create production blocking, where one person speaks while others forget or suppress their ideas. It can create evaluation apprehension, where people hold back because they fear judgment. It can create conformity, where early suggestions shape the direction of the group before alternatives are explored. For introverts, these problems can be especially strong. A better structure is often quiet idea generation first, then discussion second. Introverted leadership is also often misunderstood. People frequently associate leadership with charisma, fast speech, visible confidence, and social dominance. Those qualities can help someone emerge as a leader, but they are not the same as leading well. Research on leadership suggests that introverted leaders can be especially effective with proactive teams, where employees bring ideas, take initiative, and want to be heard. An introverted leader may listen more fully, ask better questions, and create more space for other people to contribute. In that context, quiet leadership is not weak leadership. It can be a better match for the team. This does not mean introverts are always better leaders. No personality style is always better. An extrovert leader may be excellent in situations requiring rapid energizing, public persuasion, morale building, and visible social coordination. An introverted leader may be excellent in situations requiring deep listening, careful strategy, long-term thinking, and empowerment of proactive people. Leadership is not a single personality trait. It is a relationship between a person, a group, a task, and a moment. The best organizations understand that leadership can speak softly and still be strong. The workplace can either support or drain introverted minds. Open offices, constant meetings, mandatory social events, instant message overload, and the expectation of immediate response can turn the workday into a continuous stream of interruptions. For an introvert, this can be especially costly because focus is not merely a preference. It is the condition under which their best thinking often occurs. A quiet hour may produce more value than an entire afternoon of visible busyness. A written document may capture more insight than a spontaneous meeting. A delayed, considered answer may be more useful than an instant reaction. A meeting illustrates this perfectly. One person thinks by speaking and discovers their idea in real time. Another person thinks silently, builds the idea internally, and may need 10 minutes after the meeting to articulate the best version of it. If the organization only counts what is said aloud in the room, it loses part of its intelligence. A simple change, sending the question in advance, allowing written follow-up, or pausing before discussion, can make the same group smarter without changing anyone's personality. Remote work changed the visibility of introverted productivity for many people. Some introverts found that when the constant background performance of office life disappeared, their focus improved, their fatigue decreased, and their contributions became clearer. Written communication, scheduled meetings, and control over the sensory environment allowed them to work closer to their natural rhythm. Other introverts still missed meaningful human contact because introversion does not eliminate the need for belonging. The lesson is not that introverts should always work alone. It is that autonomy over stimulation can make a profound difference. Digital communication is a mixed gift for introverts. Text, email, and asynchronous messages allow time to think, revise, and respond without the pressure of immediate performance. This can make communication more accurate and less draining. But digital life also creates constant social availability. Notifications, unread messages, group chats, social feeds, and the feeling that one is never truly alone. The introvert may prefer written communication and still need boundaries around it. A quiet room loses some of its quiet if every device in it is asking for a response. The relationship between introversion and creativity is subtle. It is not true that introverts are automatically more creative than extroverts. Creativity appears in many temperaments. Extroverts may excel in improvisational creativity, social creativity, collaborative performance, and rapid idea exchange. Introverts may have advantages in creative work that requires long solitary engagement, deep revision, internal simulation, careful observation, and the ability to remain with a problem without immediate external reward. The creative difference is not a hierarchy. It is a difference in creative ecology. Many forms of creative achievement require solitude, not because other people are unimportant, but because early ideas are fragile. A first draft, a theory, a melody, a design, or a scientific hypothesis often needs time away from immediate judgment. Solitude allows the mind to combine distant associations, revisit memory, test possibilities, and tolerate uncertainty. For introverts, this state may feel especially natural. Their inner world is not a waiting room for real life. It is an active workshop. Something is being built there, even when nothing appears to be happening from the outside. The introvert's inner monologue is one reason quiet can look misleading. Many introverts report a rich stream of internal speech, rehearsing conversations, analyzing events, imagining alternatives, revising ideas, planning, reflecting, and sometimes replaying moments long after they happen. This inner speech can be useful, giving structure to thought and allowing careful self-regulation. It can also become tiring if it turns into rumination, especially in people who are also high in anxiety. The same capacity for depth can become a burden when the mind cannot let go. The difference between reflection and rumination is often whether thinking moves toward understanding or simply circles around distress. Introversion and high sensitivity are related but not identical. Sensory processing sensitivity describes a trait in which people process sensory and emotional information more deeply, notice subtleties, and are more easily overstimulated by intense environments. Many highly sensitive people are introverted, but not all. Some are extrovert and still highly responsive to sound, light, emotion, atmosphere, and social nuance. Likewise, not all introverts are highly sensitive. Some introverts simply prefer low social intensity without being especially sensitive to sensory detail. These distinctions matter because they prevent one label from becoming too broad to be useful. High sensitivity also illustrates an important principle. Traits often have both costs and benefits. A person who notices subtle shifts in tone may become overwhelmed in conflict, but may also be unusually compassionate. A person who processes deeply may become tired in chaotic settings, but may also see connections others miss. A person who reacts strongly to beauty, music, stories, and emotional atmosphere may suffer more in harsh environments, but experience more richness in supportive ones. Sensitivity is not automatically fragility. It is responsiveness. Whether responsiveness becomes a gift or a burden depends partly on the environment. Culture shapes how introversion is interpreted. In some Western, especially American, contexts, confidence is often displayed through talkativeness, eye contact, assertiveness, enthusiasm, and speed of response. A quiet person may be misread as bored, insecure, unfriendly, or lacking ambition. In other cultural contexts, reserve may be interpreted more positively, as maturity, respect, thoughtfulness, humility, or self-control. This means introversion is not experienced the same way everywhere. The same child who is praised for being calm and observant in one culture may be pressured to be louder in another. The modern workplace often reflects what has been called an extrovert ideal, the belief that the ideal person is outgoing, quick, socially fluent, verbally confident, and visibly enthusiastic. This ideal affects hiring, promotion, education, dating, networking, and even the design of buildings. It can make introverts feel as if their natural way of being is something to compensate for. Yet many of the qualities organizations claim to value, judgment, listening, independent thinking, careful analysis, deep focus, creativity, loyalty, and meaningful connection, are often supported by introverted strengths. The problem is not that introverts lack value. The problem is that value is often measured by noise. Education can create the same mismatch. A child who thinks carefully before answering may be marked as less engaged than a child who raises a hand immediately. A student who learns best through reading and writing may be forced into constant group work. A young person who needs quiet after school may be treated as antisocial. Good education does not require making every child speak more. It requires giving multiple routes to contribution: spoken discussion, written reflection, individual projects, small groups, time to prepare, and ways for quieter students to show the depth of what they understand. Introversion can also be confused with autism, depression, or avoidance, and careful distinctions matter. Some autistic people are introverted, and some are extrovert. Some depressed people withdraw because they have lost pleasure and energy, which is different from healthy solitude. Some avoidant people want connection but fear rejection. Introversion, by itself, does not involve impaired social understanding, loss of interest, or fear-based avoidance. It is a preference for lower stimulation and often for deeper, more controlled forms of connection. Labels become helpful only when they clarify rather than flatten human experience. The social world can be especially confusing for introverts because they may enjoy people and still need distance from them. This creates a pattern that others sometimes misinterpret. An introvert may have a wonderful evening with friends and then not want to meet again for a while. They may love someone deeply and still need to spend the next morning alone. They may be animated during a meaningful conversation and quiet during a group dinner. To someone with a more extrovert rhythm, this may seem inconsistent. But for the introvert, it is often perfectly coherent. Connection is real, and recovery is also real. Romantic relationships often require this difference to be understood explicitly. An introvert-extrovert couple may love each other and still experience social time differently. One partner may want to decompress by talking, inviting friends over, or going out. The other may need silence, reading, a bath, a walk, or time with no conversation at all. Without understanding, the extrovert may feel rejected and the introvert may feel invaded. With understanding, the difference becomes manageable. Love does not require identical nervous systems. It requires believing that the other person's needs are real. Introvert-introvert relationships have their own pattern. They may feel deeply peaceful because both partners understand the need for quiet and the comfort of low-pressure companionship. But they may also need to intentionally create opportunities for connection rather than assuming that shared quiet is always enough. Two introverts can avoid conflict, postpone difficult conversations, or drift into parallel solitude. The healthiest introverted relationships often combine respect for silence with deliberate moments of emotional clarity. Quiet love still needs language sometimes. Friendship for introverts often grows slowly. The introvert may not reveal much at first, not because there is little to reveal, but because trust is built through consistency. A friendship may become close through repeated low-pressure contact, walking the same route, sharing books, sending thoughtful messages, sitting together after class, working side by side, or having one conversation that goes unexpectedly deep. Once formed, these friendships can be very durable. The introvert's smaller social circle is not necessarily a sign of social poverty. It may be a sign of selective investment. The introvert's body may also respond differently to social effort. After intense social interaction, many introverts describe fatigue that feels physical, not merely emotional. Their face feels tired from expression. Their voice feels tired from speaking. Their attention feels frayed from tracking multiple signals. Their nervous system may remain activated even after the event ends, making sleep difficult despite exhaustion. This does not mean socializing harmed them. It means the energy cost was real. Recovery may require low light, familiar surroundings, quiet sound, and time without being observed. This physical dimension is important for the viewer because it turns a vague feeling into something understandable. Many introverts have been told they are dramatic for feeling tired after a normal social event. But if social environments require sustained attention, facial expression, voice modulation, emotional reading, self-monitoring, and inhibition of immediate escape, then fatigue is not mysterious. It is the cost of regulation. The same evening that looks easy from the outside may require hundreds of small adjustments from the inside. Sleep can become especially important for introverts because social energy and cognitive energy are closely linked. A sleep-deprived introvert may have less capacity to tolerate stimulation, less patience for conversation, and less ability to regulate the inner monologue. The world may feel louder when the brain is tired. This is true for everyone, but the introvert may notice it particularly strongly because their comfortable stimulation window is often narrower. Rest restores not only the body but the ability to meet the outside world without feeling invaded by it. There is some evidence that personality traits relate to chronotype and daily rhythm, but the pattern is not simple. Extroversion is often associated with greater positive emotion and social activity during the day, while some introverts may protect late evening hours because they are quieter and less socially demanding. It would be too strong to say introverts are naturally nocturnal. Many are morning people, but it is understandable why the late evening has cultural meaning for introverts. The phone becomes quieter. Expectations fall away. The mind finally has room to hear itself. The question of how someone becomes an introvert, therefore, has several answers at once. Part of it begins in biology, inherited differences in arousal, reward sensitivity, novelty response, and temperament. Part of it develops through experience, whether quietness is respected or shamed, whether social environments feel safe or overwhelming, whether the child learns to use solitude creatively or to hide in it fearfully. Part of it comes from culture. What kinds of behavior are praised, what kinds are punished, and what kind of person a child is told they should become. Introversion is not created by a single cause. It emerges from the ongoing conversation between a nervous system and a life. Childhood environments can shape whether introversion becomes confidence or self-doubt. A quiet child who is treated as thoughtful may learn that their pace is legitimate. A quiet child who is constantly told to speak up, stop being shy, be more fun, or come out of their shell may learn that their natural rhythm is embarrassing. The difference matters. Encouragement is useful when it expands a child's world without humiliating them. Pressure becomes harmful when it teaches the child that being themselves is disappointing to others. Parents and teachers often want introverted children to have more opportunities, and that intention can be loving. But opportunity and correction are not the same. The introverted child may benefit from gentle exposure to new situations, preparation before social demands, smaller groups, and permission to observe before joining. They may not benefit from being pushed suddenly into the center of attention. A child can learn courage without learning that their temperament is wrong. The goal is not to turn the child into an extrovert. The goal is to help them become a capable introvert. Adolescence can be difficult for introverts because social visibility becomes unusually important. Peer groups, status, parties, dating, school performance, and identity all become tangled together. The adolescent introvert may feel out of step with a culture that treats constant social activity as proof of normal development. They may prefer one close friend to a group, or reading to parties, or online conversation to hallway performance. If they are supported, they may develop a strong inner identity. If they are mocked, they may begin to confuse introversion with inadequacy. Adulthood often brings relief. Many introverts discover that life becomes easier when they can choose their environment more intentionally. They can choose work that rewards focus, friendships that respect quiet, homes that provide refuge, and routines that protect recovery time. They may also learn social skills that reduce anxiety around performance. An adult introvert may look more socially confident than they did as a child, not because they became less introverted, but because they learned how to operate in the world without abandoning their own rhythm. Personality is relatively stable over time, but not frozen. Longitudinal research shows that people tend to maintain their relative standing compared with others, while also changing gradually across adulthood. Many people become more emotionally stable, more conscientious, and somewhat more socially confident with age. An introvert may become better at conversation, leadership, boundaries, and public expression, but their need for solitude may remain. Growth does not always mean moving toward extroversion. Sometimes growth means becoming more skillful at being exactly what one is. The idea of the ambivert helps soften the false binary. Many people fall near the middle of the introversion-extroversion spectrum. They enjoy people and solitude. They can be lively in one setting and quiet in another. They may feel energized by the right social contact and drained by the wrong kind. The ambivert is not a contradiction. It is evidence that personality traits are gradients. In fact, many people who call themselves introverts are moderate rather than extreme. The label may still be useful if it names their need for quiet, but the underlying trait is continuous. Personality tests can be helpful, but they can also oversimplify. The Myers-Briggs Type Indicator made introversion and extroversion familiar to millions of people, and many find its language personally meaningful. But scientific personality psychology usually prefers dimensional models like the Big Five because they measure degree rather than forcing people into categories. A person is not simply I or E in the way a light switch is on or off. They have a distribution of behaviors across situations. Any test that makes personality feel fixed, total, or absolute should be treated gently. A map is useful only if it does not become a prison. Introversion has strengths that are easy to overlook because they are often quiet strengths. The ability to listen without immediately taking over. The ability to remain alone with a difficult question. The ability to notice what a room is not saying. The ability to form deep relationships rather than many shallow ones. The ability to work without constant praise. The ability to think before speaking. The ability to resist a group's emotional momentum. These strengths are not dramatic, but many important human achievements depend on them. Listening may be one of the most underrated introverted strengths. Good listening is not passive. It requires attention, restraint, memory, emotional regulation, and the willingness not to turn every moment back toward oneself. Introverts often become trusted confidants because they do not rush to fill space. They allow another person's thoughts to unfold. They notice pauses, contradictions, hesitations, and small emotional shifts. In a noisy culture, the person who can truly listen can feel rare. Careful decision-making is another possible strength. Introverts may be less likely to act for the immediate reward of attention or excitement. They may spend more time considering consequences, alternatives, and hidden risks. This can make them slower in some contexts, but wiser in others. There are moments when speed matters. There are also moments when the best answer is the one that was not produced under pressure. The introvert's pause can protect against error. Independent judgment can also flourish in solitude. Groups are powerful, but they can distort thought. People can form, compete, perform, and unconsciously adjust their opinions to maintain belonging. A person comfortable with being alone may be better able to ask whether the group is wrong. This does not mean introverts are immune to social influence. No one is. But comfort with solitude can make it easier to stand apart long enough to think clearly. Many forms of intellectual courage begin with the ability to be alone with an unpopular thought. The introvert's relationship to attention is especially important in the modern world. Attention is constantly being pulled outward. Notifications, advertisements, feeds, messages, noise, performance metrics, social comparison. Introversion, at its best, protects the inward dimension of attention. It reminds us that not every valuable experience is public, measurable, or shared. A private insight is still real. A quiet hour is still productive. A life can be rich even when it is not constantly visible. There are also costs. Introverts may be overlooked. They may miss opportunities because they do not self-promote. They may be underestimated in groups. They may become so accustomed to handling things internally that they fail to ask for help. They may avoid useful exposure because it is draining. They may confuse comfort with growth and stay too long inside routines that are safe but narrow. A balanced understanding of introversion must include both the gifts and the risks. Respecting a temperament does not mean never stretching it. Healthy introversion is not withdrawal from life. It is selective participation. It asks, which connections matter, which environments support clear thinking, which obligations are worth the energy, and where does recovery come from? An unhealthy version can become avoidance, isolation, resentment, or fear disguised as preference. The difference is often whether solitude restores the person and returns them to life, or whether it gradually cuts them off from it. Solitude should be a home, not a locked room. The line between introversion and avoidance can be subtle. An introvert may decline a party because they are tired and know the event will not nourish them. That may be healthy. But if they decline every invitation because they fear being judged or because the thought of discomfort feels unbearable, something else may be happening. Science helps by giving language, preference, sensitivity, arousal, anxiety, avoidance, recovery. These words separate what popular culture often mixes together. A person can honor introversion and still work gently with fear. Introverts often benefit from designing life rather than improvising it. Energy can be protected by spacing social events, leaving recovery time after demanding days, choosing smaller gatherings when possible, preparing before meetings, using written communication, and creating daily rituals of quiet. These are not signs of weakness. They are forms of self-knowledge. A singer protects the voice. An athlete protects recovery. A writer protects attention. An introvert protects the conditions under which their mind works best. The metaphor of energy is imperfect but useful. Social energy is not a measurable fluid, yet many people experience it as if it were one. Certain activities fill it, others empty it. For introverts, low-pressure solitude, nature, reading, music, writing, focused work, prayer, meditation, or quiet companionship may restore the system. For extroverts, restoration may come from conversation, movement, shared excitement, and external engagement. Problems arise when one pattern is treated as universal. A healthy culture allows different ways of refueling. Nature often plays a special role in introverted restoration. A walk in a forest, along a quiet street, near the sea, or through a park offers stimulation that is rich but not demanding. The world is present, but it does not ask for performance. Leaves move, water reflects, birds call, light changes. Attention can open without needing to answer. This kind of soft fascination has been studied in attention restoration theory. Natural environments can allow directed attention to recover after fatigue. For many introverts, nature is social silence, a companionable world without conversation. Reading is another classic introverted refuge because it creates connection without overstimulation. A book is a mind encountered at the reader's pace. It can be paused, revisited, carried into solitude, and absorbed without eye contact or interruption. Reading allows the introvert to enter human experience deeply while remaining physically alone. This is not antisocial. It is a different form of social contact, intimate, slow, and inward. Many introverts first discovered that their inner life is valid through books that name what they had never been able to explain. Writing can serve a similar function. Spoken conversation disappears as soon as it is said, but writing allows revision. It gives the introvert time to find the exact shape of thought. A written message may contain more emotional truth than a rushed conversation. A journal may become the place where the self organizes itself. A poem, essay, script, or letter can carry quiet thinking into the world without requiring the thinker to become loud. Writing is one way introversion becomes visible without betraying its rhythm. There is a reason many introverts love night. Night reduces the demand of the external world. The light softens, messages slow, streets quiet. The social expectations of the day release their grip. Even when nothing special happens, night can feel like permission. Permission to think without interruption, permission to be unobserved, permission to stop translating the inner world into acceptable outer behavior. The late hours can feel less like emptiness and more like shelter, a time when the nervous system finally stops preparing for response and begins returning to itself. This makes introversion especially suited to a slow nocturnal story. It is not a topic that needs explosions, shocking turns, or constant novelty. Its interest is quieter, the recognition of patterns that many people have felt for years without having language for them. A listener may hear the difference between shyness and introversion, or between solitude and avoidance, and feel a small internal click. That click is powerful. It is not loud, but it can keep a person listening, because the subject is not only about psychology in general. It may be about the hidden logic of their own life. The body of an introvert is not fundamentally different from the body of an extrovert, but the lived experience of the body can differ. A crowded room may produce muscle tension, facial fatigue, shallow breathing, or a buzzing sense of alertness. A quiet room may produce a downward shift in arousal, slower breathing, looser muscles, steadier attention. The nervous system is always making predictions about the environment. Safe quiet tells one body, you may expand inward now. Social intensity tells another body, wake up, respond, monitor. These patterns become part of personality because they happen again and again. Introverts often describe being able to perform extroversion when necessary. They can be animated, charming, talkative, decisive, and outwardly energetic. This is sometimes called acting out of character, and it can be meaningful when done for valued goals. Teaching, helping, leading, celebrating, advocating, comforting. The issue is not whether introverts can do it. They can. The issue is recovery. Acting outside one's natural style may be worthwhile, but the nervous system still sends the bill. Wise introverts budget for it. The ability to perform extroversion can create another misunderstanding. People may not believe someone is introverted if they have seen them be socially capable. But introversion is not measured by what a person can do for 1 hour. It is measured by what that hour costs and where the person goes afterward to feel like themselves again. A professional speaker may be an introvert. A teacher may be an introvert. A performer may be an introvert. Public skill and private recovery can coexist. The same is true of confidence. Confidence is not the opposite of introversion. An introvert can be confident, calm, assertive, and socially skilled. They may simply use those skills selectively. They may not seek the spotlight unless the task matters. They may not speak unless they have something useful to say. They may not display enthusiasm in a way others expect, even when they care deeply. Quiet confidence can be harder to recognize because it does not advertise itself, but it is real. Introversion can influence moral life as well, though not in a simple way. A person who reflects deeply may be more likely to notice ethical complexity, consider consequences, and resist impulsive harm. But reflection can also become overthinking. Extroverts may act quickly to help in public situations, mobilize others, and bring warmth to groups. Introverts may offer careful counsel, private loyalty, and thoughtful repair. Moral character is not determined by personality type. It is built through values, choices, habits, and the way a person's temperament is directed. The introvert's emotional life is sometimes hidden by their expression. A quiet face is not an empty face. Introverts may feel deeply but show it less immediately. They may need time to understand what they feel before naming it. They may avoid dramatic expression not because emotion is absent, but because emotion is private. This can make them seem calm when they are moved, distant when they are overwhelmed, or indifferent when they are simply processing. People who love introverts often learn to look for smaller signals, a shift in tone, a carefully chosen sentence, a long message later, an act of quiet loyalty. There is also a kind of introverted joy that is easy to miss. It may not look like shouting, dancing, or rapid social excitement. It may look like a person becoming absorbed in a subject, smiling at a line in a book, organizing a workspace, walking alone under trees, making tea after a long day, sending one honest message, or sitting with someone they trust in comfortable silence. Joy does not always expand outward. Sometimes it deepens inward. The science of personality also reminds us that introversion is only one dimension. A person is not made of introversion alone. Openness may make an introvert imaginative, curious, and drawn to abstract ideas. Conscientiousness may make them disciplined and reliable. Agreeableness may make them gentle and cooperative. Neuroticism may make them more prone to worry or emotional instability. Low neuroticism may make them calm and self-contained. Two introverts can be completely different people because the rest of personality matters. The label is a doorway, not a full description. This is why simplified internet lists can be both comforting and misleading. They may say, introverts do this, introverts hate that, introverts always prefer this. But real people are more varied. Some introverts love concerts and need 3 days afterward. Some hate texting. Some love deep phone calls. Some are ambitious. Some are domestic. Some are adventurous but not socially hungry. Some are quiet because they are peaceful. Others are quiet because they are afraid. The scientific view is more generous than the stereotype. It allows variation. Introversion may also have evolutionary logic, though this must be stated carefully. In many species, individuals vary in boldness, exploration, risk-taking, and responsiveness to novelty. A population can benefit from having different strategies. Bold individuals may discover new resources, take opportunities, and respond quickly. Cautious individuals may avoid danger, notice subtle threats, and preserve stability. If one strategy were always best, evolution would likely push everyone toward it. The persistence of temperament variation suggests that different environments reward different styles. Human introversion may be part of this broader pattern of adaptive diversity, though though culture and personal experience shape how that biological tendency is expressed. The world needs extrovert gifts. It needs people who gather groups, start conversations, energize rooms, take social risks, and turn strangers into communities. It also needs introverted gifts. It needs people who think in quiet, notice what is missed, sustain deep work, remember nuance, create from solitude, and offer relationships that are built slowly and held carefully. The healthiest culture does not ask which temperament is better. It asks how each can contribute without being forced to imitate the other. One of the most damaging messages introverts receive is that they must become more extrovert to be successful. It is true that some extrovert skills are useful. Speaking clearly, meeting people, self-advocating, and participating socially are valuable. But skill acquisition is not identity replacement. An introvert can learn to present, lead, negotiate, and network in ways that respect their energy. They do not need to become someone else. They need to become fluent enough in the external world that their inner strengths can reach it. There is a difference between a mask and a bridge. A mask hides the self and exhausts it. A bridge connects the self to the world. For introverts, healthy social skills are bridges. They allow the quiet mind to share its thoughts, protect its needs, enter relationships, and contribute publicly when necessary. Unhealthy performance becomes a mask when the person feels they must constantly appear more energetic, more available, more excited, and more socially hungry than they are. The goal is not permanent performance. The goal is honest connection. The same principle applies to career choice. Introverts do not all need solitary jobs, and extroverts do not all need social jobs. The better question is what kind of stimulation the work requires and what kind of recovery it allows. An introvert may thrive as a therapist, researcher, writer, designer, engineer, analyst, artist, editor, physician, teacher, strategist, or manager. They may enjoy people-facing work when it has depth, purpose, and boundaries. The draining jobs are often not those involving people, but those involving constant shallow interaction, interruption, and performance without recovery. For introverts, meaning can make social energy more available. A large gathering with no clear purpose may feel exhausting. A meeting about a subject they deeply care about may awaken them. A speech for attention may feel intolerable. A speech in defense of a value may feel necessary and powerful. This is because motivation changes the cost of stimulation. Introverts are not uniformly low energy. They often have intense energy for what matters. The energy may simply be focused rather than dispersed. The introvert's sense of self may also be more internally anchored. Extroverts often receive frequent social feedback and may adjust dynamically to the emotional field around them. Introverts, spending more time in reflection, may build identity through private values, memories, ideas, and self-observation. This can create steadiness, but it can also create distance if the introvert becomes too self-contained. Human beings need mirrors. Even the richest inner life benefits from being known by someone else. Being known can be difficult for introverts because self-disclosure often feels significant. An extrovert may reveal while speaking and discover their feeling through the conversation. An introvert may need to understand the feeling first and reveal it later, carefully. This can make intimacy slower, but not weaker. When an introvert shares something private, it may carry weight because it has already been processed, protected, and chosen. Their trust often appears not in volume, but in access. Social media complicates introversion because it turns self-expression into performance metrics. A private thought becomes a post. A photograph becomes visibility. A friendship becomes an audience. Some introverts enjoy online spaces because they allow written expression and selective participation. Others find them draining because they convert even solitude into social comparison. The introvert may need to ask not only, "Do I like people?" But also, do I want to be perceived right now? The right to be unobserved is psychologically important. The need to be unobserved is often underrated. Humans behave differently when watched. Attention from others can activate self-monitoring. How do I look? What should I say? Am I responding correctly? Am I taking too much space? Am I taking too little? For introverts, prolonged self-monitoring can be exhausting. Solitude removes the social mirror. The body can soften. The face can rest. The mind can stop translating itself. This is part of why being alone can feel not empty, but deeply relieving. Introverts may also be especially sensitive to interruption. Deep work depends on holding complex structures in working memory, an argument, an image, a code base, a musical phrase, a story arc, a plan. An interruption does not merely pause the work. It can collapse the mental structure, requiring time and effort to rebuild. In this sense, the introvert's frustration with interruption is not simply irritability. It may reflect the genuine cognitive cost of losing an internally maintained state. Quiet protects continuity. The modern economy often undervalues continuity. It rewards responsiveness, multitasking, visibility, availability, and rapid switching. But many valuable forms of work require the opposite: uninterrupted time, delayed judgment, slow comprehension, careful synthesis. Introverts often know this not as theory, but as lived experience. They can feel the difference between a fragmented day and a protected one. The protected day produces substance. The fragmented day produces exhaustion and the illusion of productivity. A society that respects introversion would not eliminate collaboration. It would design collaboration better. It would send materials before meetings. It would allow written input. It would not mistake silence for agreement. It would let people think before asking for answers. It would protect deep work. It would understand that a person who leaves the party early may still love the people there. It would stop treating quiet as a problem to solve and start treating it as one of the conditions under which certain minds become most useful. Introversion also has a spiritual or philosophical dimension for some people, though it does not have to be religious. The inward turn has always been part of human culture. Meditation, prayer, contemplation, study, solitude in nature, monastic life, journaling, artistic retreat. Across traditions, quiet has been used not only for rest, but for understanding. The introvert may feel an intuitive kinship with this older human practice, the sense that not all knowledge arrives through action and not all connection is loud. But solitude requires care. Too much of it, especially when combined with distress, can turn the mind against itself. A person alone with supportive thoughts may recover. A person alone with shame, fear, or grief may sink deeper. This is why the goal is not maximum solitude. It is the right kind and amount of solitude, balanced with meaningful connection. Introversion is healthiest when it creates a rhythm. Engage, withdraw, process, return. The return matters. The best friendships with introverts often respect this rhythm. They do not demand constant access. They do not punish delayed replies. They do not interpret quiet as rejection. They invite, but do not pressure. They understand that the introvert may show love by remembering details, sending thoughtful messages, doing practical favors, sharing carefully chosen recommendations, or being present in difficult moments without making a performance of it. The language of introverted care may be quieter, but it can be extraordinarily faithful. Introverts themselves may need to learn to communicate their needs without apology. A simple sentence can prevent misunderstanding. I had a good time, but I need a quiet night now. I want to come, but I may leave early. I need time to think before I answer. I care about you, and I also need some time alone. These sentences are not excuses. They are translations. They help other people see that solitude and affection can exist together. There is also freedom in knowing that no one is required to optimize every trait. A person does not have to become endlessly social, endlessly productive, endlessly visible, endlessly available. A good life is not necessarily the loudest life. For many introverts, the good life is textured. Enough meaningful work, enough quiet, enough beauty, enough close connection, enough room to think, enough courage to enter the world when needed, and enough self-respect to return inward without shame. By this point, the central idea should feel clearer. Introversion is not one habit. It is a pattern running through many levels at once. A personality trait measured on a spectrum, a temperament that may appear early, a partial genetic tendency, a difference in preferred stimulation, a difference in how social reward and social cost are balanced, and a life strategy shaped by family, school, culture, work, and love. That layered structure is what makes the subject interesting. It is personal, but it is not merely personal. It is biological, social, developmental, and deeply human. Science cannot tell any individual exactly how to live, but it can remove unnecessary shame. It can say, your need for quiet has a basis. Your preference for depth is real. Your fatigue after social intensity is not laziness. Your slower response may reflect processing, not stupidity. Your solitude may be restorative, not antisocial. Your temperament may have roots in biology and development, but it can still grow, adapt, and become skilled. You are not a broken extrovert. You are a variation on being human. And this may be the most important point. Introversion is not a flaw because human beings were never meant to come in one psychological design. A tribe made only of bold talkers would miss dangers, lose subtle information, and exhaust itself. A tribe made only of quiet observers might fail to coordinate quickly or seize opportunities. Human groups have always needed both. The one who steps forward and the one who notices. The one who gathers and the one who reflects. The one who speaks first and the one who later says the sentence everyone remembers. The introvert's mind is not empty because it is quiet. It is often quiet because it is full of associations, memories, careful perceptions, unfinished ideas, private jokes, imagined conversations, moral questions, sensory impressions, and emotional weather that may never be visible from the outside. To ask such a mind to be constantly outward is to misunderstand where much of its life is happening. The interior is not a lesser world. It is one of the places where human beings become fully themselves. Tonight, as the outside world becomes a little quieter, it may be easier to understand why this temperament has always existed. Somewhere, a person is closing a door after a long day and feeling their nervous system settle. Somewhere, a child is reading under a blanket and discovering a universe. Somewhere, a scientist is thinking alone through a problem no meeting could solve. Somewhere, a friend is writing a message with more care than they could have spoken aloud. Somewhere, an introvert is not withdrawing from life, but returning to the place from which they can meet it honestly. That quiet return is not failure. It is regulation. It is recovery. It is the nervous system finding its proper light. And it leads naturally to another question. What does a slower rhythm make possible? One gentle way to think about introversion is through time. The world often rewards what appears quickly. The quick answer, the quick introduction, the quick performance of certainty. But many important things in human life do not appear quickly. Trust does not. Wisdom does not. Grief does not. A difficult idea does not always. A deep friendship does not. The introverted rhythm is often a reminder that the slow forms of knowing are still real forms of knowing. A person can take longer to respond because they are not yet finished understanding. This slower rhythm is visible in the way many introverts make decisions. They may gather information quietly, compare possibilities, imagine consequences, and only later reveal the conclusion. To someone waiting for immediate enthusiasm, this can look like hesitation. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it is precision. The introvert may be protecting the decision from the distortions of mood, pressure, and audience. They may be asking the question that the louder moment forgot to ask. In a culture that confuses certainty with intelligence, the person who pauses can seem less confident than they are. But the pause may be the most intelligent part of the process. The same rhythm appears in emotional repair. Some people resolve conflict by talking immediately, thinking aloud through the feeling until it changes. Many introverts need a period of silence before they can speak well. They may need to identify what they feel, separate the present from older memories, find the accurate words, and calm the physiological arousal that conflict creates. If forced to speak too soon, they may shut down, say too little, or say something clumsy. Given time, they may return with a clearer and more honest response. The delay is not necessarily avoidance. It may be the route by which the truth becomes speakable. For this reason, healthy relationships with introverts often include time as a form of respect. Time before answering, time after conflict, time between invitations, time to transition from work into home, from public role into private self, from noise into connection. The introvert may not need less love. They may need more spacious love, love that does not crowd the nervous system while asking to enter the heart. This kind of love can feel deeply safe because it says, "You do not have to perform closeness for me to believe it exists." The science of introversion also invites compassion for extroverts, because every temperament has its own vulnerability. The extrovert may suffer in isolation, feel undernourished without feedback, and become restless when deprived of shared energy. They may be misunderstood as shallow when they are simply processing through connection. Just as introverts are not failed extroverts, extroverts are not failed introverts. Both temperaments can become caricatures when seen from the outside. The deeper truth is that different nervous systems seek balance through different doors. A mature understanding of personality does not ask everyone to meet in the middle by becoming the same. It asks people to become bilingual. The introvert learns enough of the external language to share, ask, risk, and join. The extrovert learns enough of the internal language to pause, listen, wait, and not mistake silence for absence. When these languages meet, groups become wiser. The quick spark and the slow ember can both give light. This is why introversion belongs in science rather than merely in self-help. It is not just a label that helps people feel seen, although that can matter. It is a way to understand variation in arousal, reward, attention, temperament, culture, cognition, relationships, and work. It shows how deeply biology and environment interact to create the ordinary texture of a life. The way a person enters a room, leaves a party, answers a question, chooses a friend, protects a morning, and returns to themselves at night. The quiet person at the edge of the room may be tired. They may be shy. They may be bored. But they may also be listening more carefully than anyone else. They may be holding the entire conversation in their mind, noticing what is missing, waiting for the moment when one useful sentence is better than 20 unnecessary ones. Introversion teaches us not to confuse volume with depth, or speed with value, or visibility with presence. Some of the richest human processes are silent while they are happening. And now the night itself begins to resemble the introverted mind. Not empty, not absent, but spacious. The world outside may still be moving, but it does not need your performance. The room can hold you without asking for conversation. Thought can slow. Attention can turn inward. The mind can stop arranging itself for other people and become simply its own private weather again. That, too, is part of being human. Not the opposite of life, but one of life's quieter forms. Another useful distinction is between introversion and independence. Many introverts are independent, but the two are not identical. Independence is about self-direction, the ability to make choices, solve problems, and act without continuous guidance. Introversion is about stimulation and orientation. An extrovert can be highly independent. An introvert can be deeply dependent on a few trusted relationships. But introversion often gives independence a natural habitat, because the introvert spends more time learning what their own mind does when it is not being shaped by the immediate reactions of others. This can make independent thought feel familiar rather than frightening. The danger is that independence can become invisibility. A capable introvert may handle so much alone that others assume they need nothing. They may not complain, interrupt, or announce distress. They may solve problems quietly until the load becomes too heavy. This is one reason introverts sometimes surprise people by reaching burnout without having appeared dramatic along the way. The absence of visible distress is not proof of ease. Some people suffer loudly. Others become quieter as strain increases. A wise friend, teacher, partner, or leader learns to check on the quiet people too. Burnout in introverts can have a particular shape. It may not look like a public collapse. It may look like deeper withdrawal, loss of interest in even preferred activities, irritation at small demands, difficulty answering messages, and a feeling that every social contact requires more energy than it should. Because introverts already value solitude, they may not immediately notice when restorative solitude has become depleted isolation. The key difference is how the person feels afterward. Healthy solitude returns energy. Burnout solitude may only prevent further loss without actually restoring much. The nervous system is not resting. It is hiding. Recovery from overstimulation is not laziness. It is physiological regulation. After a day of social performance, the brain and body may need lower light, fewer voices, predictable surroundings, and time with no demand for output. This is similar to how muscles need recovery after exertion. A person who rests after running is not accused of hating movement. A person who rests after social intensity should not be accused of hating people. The activity was real. The cost was real. The recovery is part of doing it sustainably. Many introverts learn to protect their energy through rituals. The walk after work, the hour before sleep without messages, the morning before anyone speaks, the drive home in silence, the notebook beside the bed, the same chair, the same lamp, the same cup of tea. Rituals reduce decision load and sensory unpredictability. They tell the nervous system that it can stop scanning for novelty. To an outsider, such routines may look small. To the introvert, they may be the architecture that makes the rest of life possible. Introversion can also influence the way a person experiences memory, not because introverts have a magical memory advantage, but because depth of processing often strengthens recall. Events that are internally rehearsed, reflected upon, written about, or connected to meaning are more likely to become durable. An introvert may remember a conversation not because they are trying to hold a grudge, but because they turned it over afterward, noticed details, attached it to emotion, and integrated it into a larger understanding of the relationship. What is processed deeply is stored deeply. This can be beautiful and difficult. It may give introverts a rich autobiographical life, remembered rooms, tones of voice, small gestures, the feeling of a season, the exact sentence someone said years ago. It may also make painful moments linger. A harsh comment in a loud room may replay long after the speaker forgot it. The introvert may need to learn not only how to process, but how to release. Depth is not the same as endless holding. A mind that remembers well also needs ways to let memory become history rather than a present wound. The same depth can shape empathy. Many introverts are strong observers of other people, especially in smaller settings. They notice who grows quiet, who forces laughter, who is uncomfortable, who needs a pause. This observational empathy is not always flashy. It may appear as offering a chair, changing the subject, sending a message later, or remembering that someone dislikes crowds. The introvert may not perform warmth loudly, but they may track human detail with care. In a world that often confuses affection with display, quiet attentiveness can be easy to miss. There is also a specific kind of introverted humor. It may not dominate a room. It may arrive as a precise comment, a private observation, a dry sentence offered at exactly the right moment, or a shared joke between two people who have been quietly noticing the same thing. Because introverts often observe before entering, their humor can be based on pattern recognition. They wait, gather data, and then release one line that reveals they were present all along. Quiet does not mean dull. Sometimes it means the punchline is still being prepared. Introverts can be highly social in the right conditions. The right conditions usually include psychological safety, mutual interest, manageable group size, time to enter the conversation, and the absence of forced performance. A person who is silent at a networking event may become animated in a three-person conversation about a subject they love. A person who avoids casual parties may talk for hours with a close friend. The environment unlocks different parts of the person. Before judging someone's social capacity, it is worth asking whether the setting was designed for their mind or against it. This is especially important in professional evaluation. Many systems reward the person who speaks first and most often, but contribution has many forms. Someone can contribute by writing a careful memo, noticing a flaw in the plan, asking the question that saves the project, listening to a client accurately, documenting a process, mentoring one person deeply, or doing the difficult work that requires sustained attention. If organizations reward only visible energy, they lose quiet excellence. If they measure value more broadly, introverted workers can become some of the most reliable contributors. Meetings can be redesigned with introverts in mind without harming extroverts. Send the agenda beforehand. Let people write initial thoughts before discussion. Begin with a few minutes of silent idea generation. Rotate speaking order so the fastest voices do not dominate every conversation. Invite written follow-up after the meeting. Do not make every social event mandatory. Give people permission to decline without penalty. These changes are not special treatment. They improve the quality of thinking for everyone because they reduce impulsive consensus and allow more kinds of intelligence into the room. The same is true in classrooms. A teacher who understands introversion does not simply call on quiet students more often. That may increase anxiety without improving learning. Instead, the teacher creates varied channels. Think time before answers, written reflection, small pair discussions before full class discussion, projects that reward depth, and opportunities to contribute without fighting for airtime. A quiet student may have extraordinary insight, but need a bridge from inner language to public language. Good teaching builds that bridge gently. Introverts often do well with preparation. Preparation reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty increases stimulation. Knowing the topic, the schedule, the people, and the expected role can make a social event far more manageable. This is why introverts may dislike sudden phone calls but write excellent emails, may dread spontaneous speeches but deliver strong, prepared presentations, may avoid unstructured networking but enjoy planned conversations. Preparation does not make the introvert artificial. It allows the best version of their mind to arrive. Public speaking is a good example. Many people assume introverts must fear it, but many introverts are effective speakers because public speaking can be structured. The role is clear. The topic is prepared. The audience is listening rather than competing for turns. The introvert may find a lecture easier than a party because a lecture has shape. Afterward, however, they may still feel drained by visibility and need recovery. The capacity and the cost are separate facts. The introvert's relationship with visibility can be complicated. Visibility can bring opportunity, recognition, connection, and influence. It can also bring scrutiny, interruption, and the feeling of being possessed by other people's expectations. An introverted artist may want the work to be known, but not want constant attention on the self. An introverted leader may want the mission to succeed, but dislike the theater of leadership. An introverted creator may share publicly and then retreat. This is not hypocrisy. It is the tension between contribution and exposure. This tension is increasingly common in the digital era, where creative work is often tied to personal branding. Writers, musicians, educators, and business owners are encouraged to become constantly visible, to post, respond, film, network, and narrate their own lives. For introverted creators, the demand can feel like turning the private workshop into a storefront with glass walls. Some adapt well by setting boundaries, batching communication, and separating creation time from promotion time. Others burn out because the performance around the work consumes the energy needed to do the work itself. One of the gifts of introversion is the capacity to enjoy low-stimulation pleasure. A quiet breakfast, a familiar song, rain against glass, a clean desk, a finished paragraph, a slow conversation, a candle, a garden, a cat sleeping nearby, a well-organized shelf, a long train ride with no obligation to speak. These pleasures are not lesser because they are small. They are often deeply regulating. The introverted nervous system may find richness in subtlety precisely because it is not constantly seeking intensity. This subtlety can make introverts good at noticing atmosphere. They may sense when a room feels tense, when a gathering is too loud, when a person is performing happiness, when a space is visually cluttered, when the mood has shifted. Sometimes this sensitivity is useful, sometimes it is burdensome. The introvert may need to learn which signals require action and which can simply be noticed and released. Not every atmosphere belongs to them. Not every tension is theirs to solve. Boundaries are therefore central to healthy introversion. Boundaries are not walls against love. They are the shape that allows love to continue without self-erasure. A boundary may be leaving before exhaustion turns into resentment. It may be not answering messages after a certain hour. It may be choosing one social event instead of 3. It may be saying, "I need to think," and actually taking the time. Without boundaries, introverts may become agreeable on the outside and depleted on the inside. With boundaries, they can be more genuinely present. Some introverts struggle with guilt around boundaries because they have been taught that availability equals kindness. But constant availability is not the same as care. A person who says yes until they are resentful may be less kind in the long run than a person who says no honestly and returns with a full heart. The science of temperament supports this moral point. Different nervous systems have different limits. Respecting those limits is not selfish. It is part of sustaining the capacity to love, work, and contribute. Introversion can also interact with gender expectations. In some cultures, quietness in women may be praised as politeness while also used to suppress ambition. Quietness in men may be misread as weakness because masculinity is often associated with dominance and assertive speech. These stereotypes can make introverted people of all genders feel trapped in contradictory expectations. Be modest, but also visible. Be calm, but also charismatic. Be sensitive, but not too sensitive. Be independent, but not distant. The trait itself is biological and psychological, but its social meaning is shaped by gender norms. It can also interact with class and opportunity. A child in a crowded home may have little access to the solitude that restores them. A worker in a service job may spend hours performing friendliness regardless of temperament. A student in a noisy school may have no quiet place to recover. Introversion is often discussed as a lifestyle preference, but not everyone has equal freedom to design a low-stimulation life. This is why the social environment matters. A trait becomes easier to live with when people have space, privacy, safety, and control over their time. Introversion can be misused as an excuse, just as any identity can. A person may say, "I am an introvert," when what they mean is, "I do not want to communicate, compromise, apologize, or show up for people who need me." But the misuse of a label does not invalidate the trait. Healthy introversion includes responsibility. It asks for recovery without abandoning commitment. It values solitude without using it to avoid all discomfort. It respects the self and the relationship. The mature introvert learns when to withdraw and when to show up anyway. Showing up can look different for introverts. It may be arriving early to avoid chaotic entrances. It may be staying for the important hour rather than the whole night. It may be giving a written toast instead of an improvised one. It may be helping in the kitchen during a party because doing something practical is easier than standing in the center of the room. It may be listening to one person in the corner. The form may be quieter, but the presence can be real. The introvert's relationship with conflict is also varied. Some introverts avoid conflict because it is overstimulating. Others are quite capable of directness, especially when they have had time to prepare. The difference often lies in processing speed and emotional arousal. Conflict requires rapid interpretation of tone, facial expression, accusation, defense, and possible repair. This can overload a person who prefers slower processing. Written conflict, or a pause before discussing, can sometimes produce more honest resolution than forcing immediate conversation. Calm is not avoidance when it creates better truth. In therapy and self-understanding, introversion is useful only when it helps distinguish natural temperament from suffering. A therapist should not treat healthy solitude as pathology, but they should also notice when solitude is driven by fear, depression, trauma, or shame. The person may need both validation and support for expansion. The message is not, "Stay exactly as you are in every habit." The message is, your temperament is not the enemy. From that foundation, change becomes kinder and more effective. There is a quiet resilience in many introverts. Because they are accustomed to spending time with their own thoughts, they may have inner resources during periods of solitude that others find difficult. They may be able to maintain routines, focus on private projects, and find meaning without constant external stimulation. But resilience should not be romanticized. Introverts still need support, touch, laughter, help, and human warmth. The ability to be alone does not eliminate the human need to be loved. One of the most beautiful aspects of introversion is that it can make ordinary presence feel enough. Not every shared moment has to be filled. Two people can read in the same room. A family can move quietly through an evening. Friends can walk without speaking. A partner can sit nearby while the introvert works, offering companionship without interruption. These moments may not look dramatic, but they can feel deeply intimate. Silence, when chosen and safe, can be a language. The final lesson may be that introversion is not about being closed. It is about how a person opens. Some people open outward, quickly, in the presence of many. Some open inward first, then selectively, under conditions of trust. Some bloom under bright light. Some bloom in shade. The difference is not a hierarchy of health. It is part of human variation. A flower that opens at night is not failing to be a sunflower. It is following the logic of its own design. So if someone becomes an introvert, they become so through biology, temperament, experience, culture, and choice woven together over time. They become so because their nervous system has a particular relationship with stimulation, because solitude taught them something, because the inner world became a place of meaning, because the outer world, wonderful as it can be, sometimes arrives too loudly, because quiet offers not emptiness, but restoration. And because human nature has always included people whose deepest life moves beneath the surface, there is no need to turn that depth into noise before it counts. The quiet thought counts. The careful answer counts. The small circle counts. The private joy counts. The need to rest counts. The return to oneself counts. A life does not have to be constantly broadcast to be fully lived. It can be deep, precise, loyal, imaginative, useful, and quietly luminous. Another layer of modern personality science divides extroversion into more specific facets. Extroversion is not only sociability. It includes assertiveness, enthusiasm, activity, excitement-seeking, warmth, and the tendency to experience frequent positive emotion. This helps explain why two people with the same overall introversion score may look different. One introvert may be warm and affectionate, but not assertive. Another may be assertive and principled, but not socially hungry. Another may enjoy people, but dislike excitement and noise. The broad label hides a more detailed landscape. This facet structure also prevents a common mistake, assuming introverts are cold. Warmth and extroversion overlap, but they are not identical. A person can be low in social drive and high in warmth. They may not want a large network or constant interaction, but within chosen relationships they may be gentle, affectionate, and deeply responsive. A quiet greeting may contain more care than a loud performance. Warmth is not always volume. Sometimes it is steadiness. Positive emotion is another complicated point. Extroverts, on average, report more frequent high arousal positive emotions, excitement, enthusiasm, eagerness, social joy. Introverts may experience positive emotion in a quieter register: contentment, absorption, relief, tenderness, aesthetic pleasure, peaceful satisfaction. If happiness is measured only by outward enthusiasm, introverts may appear less happy than they are. But a life rich in calm pleasure is not a deficient life. It simply has a different emotional temperature. This distinction matters for the science of well-being. Some interventions tell people to act more extrovert because studies have found that behaving extrovertly can increase positive mood, even for introverts, in the short term. But this does not mean introverts should live as extroverts. Acting outgoing may boost mood in some moments because social approach, smiling, and engagement are rewarding human behaviors. Yet sustained out-of-character behavior can be tiring. A single vitamin can be helpful. Living on nothing but that vitamin would not be health. The question is dosage, context, and recovery. The introvert may therefore benefit from social approach without becoming socially saturated. A short visit, a meaningful call, a shared meal, a class, a community project, or a calm conversation can improve well-being. Humans are social mammals, and introverts are no exception. But after connection, the introvert may need quiet integration. They may need to digest the experience internally, to let emotions settle and memories arrange themselves. Connection enters, solitude metabolizes it. This metaphor of digestion is useful. The extrovert may process experience through continued interaction, telling the story, receiving reactions, building energy as the event is socially replayed. The introvert may process by turning inward, replaying details, extracting meaning, and placing the event into the private architecture of the self. Neither process is better. They are different ways of converting experience into understanding. Problems arise when one person expects the other to process in the same way. In families, these differences can create repeated small conflicts. A parent may ask a child, "How was school?" And the introverted child may say, "Fine," not because nothing happened, but because the experience has not yet become speakable. An hour later, or at bedtime, the child may reveal the important part. A partner may come home and need silence before conversation, not because they are angry, but because the transition from public self to private self takes time. Understanding this rhythm can prevent many unnecessary wounds. The threshold between public self and private self is often more pronounced for introverts. Public self is the version that manages expression, politeness, timing, social cues, and role expectations. Private self is the version that does not need to manage being seen. Everyone has both, but introverts may experience the shift between them more strongly. They may love the moment when shoes come off, the door closes, and the face no longer has to arrange itself for the world. This transition is not small. It can feel like returning to the body. Because introverts often monitor social information carefully, they may develop strong self-control. They may inhibit impulses, choose words cautiously, and avoid interrupting. This can make them considerate. It can also make them overly restrained. Sometimes the introvert's task is not to become louder in general, but to permit honest expression sooner with people who have earned trust. A life of constant self-editing can become lonely. The inner world needs selected exits. Art, friendship, love, and meaningful work are some of those exits. Through them, private perception becomes shared reality. The introverted musician turns inner atmosphere into sound. The introverted scientist turns solitary pattern recognition into public knowledge. The introverted friend turns quiet observation into the sentence that helps someone feel understood. The introverted partner turns loyalty into small repeated acts. Introversion is not only inwardness. It is inwardness that can, under the right conditions, become a very particular kind of offering. There is also a common myth that introverts dislike teamwork. Often they dislike poorly designed teamwork. They may enjoy collaboration when roles are clear, goals are meaningful, communication is respectful, and there is enough independent work between discussions. They may dislike collaboration that is actually constant interruption, vague emotional labor, or group performance without substance. A team that gives introverts time to prepare and space to execute may find them highly committed collaborators. The issue is not people. The issue is noise without purpose. Another myth is that introverts are mysterious by intention. Some are private, but privacy is not manipulation. They may not reveal quickly because revealing feels consequential. They may need to know that a listener will not interrupt, ridicule, oversimplify, or make the confession about themselves. When trust exists, many introverts become remarkably open. The door is not locked. It is simply not automatic. A third myth is that introverts are less adaptable. In fact, many introverts are highly adaptable because they have spent their lives translating themselves into environments not designed for them. They learn scripts, observe norms, predict expectations, and manage energy. This can create strong social intelligence, but it can also create fatigue. Adaptation should be recognized as labor. The quiet person who seems effortlessly polite may be doing more work than anyone sees. Introverts may also have a distinctive relationship to novelty. They may enjoy new ideas more than new social settings, or new places more when they can explore them slowly, or new experiences when they are not overloaded by crowds and noise. Novelty itself is not the enemy. Uncontrolled stimulation is. An introvert may love travel but hate group tours, love learning but hate icebreakers, love a city at dawn but not at midnight. Their curiosity may be intense, but selective. This selectivity is sometimes mistaken for negativity. The introvert who declines many invitations may be perceived as rejecting life. But selectivity can be a sign of knowing what makes an experience meaningful. To say no to 5 shallow events may be what allows a full yes to one deep one. Energy is finite. Attention is finite. Time is finite. A thoughtful life is partly the art of choosing where those finite resources go. The physiology of stress also matters. Highly stimulating social environments can activate the sympathetic nervous system. Faster heart rate, higher muscle tension, greater alertness, more scanning. For some people, this feels exhilarating. For others, it becomes uncomfortable. The introvert may not consciously think, "I am stressed." They may simply feel done. Their body has reached a threshold. Leaving the environment is not rejection, it is downregulation. Downregulation is one of the hidden skills of introverted life. Dimming lights, lowering sound, reducing conversation, moving slowly, focusing on one object, breathing in a steady rhythm, returning to familiar surroundings. All of these can help the nervous system shift out of high alert. Many introverts discover these strategies intuitively long before they have language for them. The science simply gives a name to what the body already knew. The body's knowledge is important because personality is not only an idea about oneself. It is embodied. It lives in fatigue, breath, appetite, sleep, posture, facial expression, and the felt sense of being expanded or compressed by an environment. A personality trait becomes real through thousands of small bodily predictions. This room is too much. This person is safe. This silence is good. This meeting will cost me. This book will restore me. This conversation matters. The mind and body learn the pattern together. Introversion can also affect how people experience time. Social time may feel fast and crowded, full of rapid shifts and lost threads. Solitary time may feel spacious, allowing thoughts to unfold in sequence. Some introverts dislike packed schedules because transitions themselves are costly. Moving from meeting to message to errand to call to event leaves no room for integration. A day with space between things can feel not empty, but humane. This may be why many introverts are drawn to slow crafts and deep skills: drawing, music, programming, gardening, research, cooking, long-form reading, language learning, woodworking, writing, editing, photography, or careful design. Such activities reward repeated attention rather than immediate social display. They create feedback without overwhelming stimulation. They allow competence to grow quietly. The introvert may not need an audience to stay engaged. The work itself can be rewarding enough. There is dignity in that. Modern life often asks, who saw it? Who liked it? Who responded? Who shared it? Introversion asks a different question. Did the work become more true, more precise, more beautiful, more complete? The audience may come later or not. The inward satisfaction of careful making is still real. A person can be motivated by craft rather than applause. At the same time, introverts may need to learn visibility as a practical skill because unseen work can be exploited or ignored. The quiet person may assume quality will speak for itself. Sometimes it does. Often it does not. Social systems are imperfect. People need reminders. Work needs advocates. Boundaries need words. Introverts do not have to become self-promotional in an empty way, but they may need to learn accurate self-representation. This is what I did. This is what I need. This is what I can offer. Speaking for oneself can be a form of truth, not vanity. The mature introvert therefore combines depth with agency. They do not apologize for needing quiet, but they also do not disappear. They choose relationships carefully, but they do not make others guess everything. They protect solitude, but they do not use it to avoid all risk. They honor sensitivity, but they do not become ruled by fragility. They learn the external skills necessary to deliver the value created in the internal world. This is the difference between retreat and rootedness. Rootedness may be the best image. The introverted person may grow more slowly above ground, less showily, with fewer visible branches in every direction. But underground there may be a wide system of roots, memories, ideas, values, private commitments, careful perceptions, long loyalties. When conditions are right, that rootedness can support remarkable steadiness. The tree does not become stronger by pulling up its roots to prove it can move quickly. It becomes stronger by growing from the place that nourishes it. The science of introversion is still incomplete. Personality research is complex, and many findings are probabilistic rather than absolute. Brain studies often have small samples, and the relationship between a questionnaire score and a neural pattern is rarely simple. Cultural research complicates what any trait means in real life. Genetics shows influence, not destiny. For this reason, the most scientific attitude is not certainty, but careful respect. Introversion is real, but it is not everything. It explains patterns, not a whole person. Still, even an incomplete science can be liberating when it corrects a harmful story. The harmful story says quiet means less alive. Science says quiet may mean differently stimulated. The harmful story says solitude means loneliness. Science says solitude can be restorative. The harmful story says talkative means smarter. Science says thought has many speeds. The harmful story says social energy is moral energy. Science says nervous systems vary. The harmful story says become louder. Science says understand your calibration. And once a person understands their calibration, life can become gentler. They may stop forcing themselves into constant comparison with people whose nervous systems are built for different inputs. They may choose environments more wisely. They may forgive the fatigue they used to interpret as weakness. They may recognize the quiet forms of happiness they once dismissed. They may stop asking why they are not someone else and begin asking what conditions allow them to become fully themselves. This is not a small shift. Shame consumes energy. Self-understanding returns it. When an introvert no longer spends half their strength apologizing for being introverted, that strength becomes available for work, love, creativity, learning, and rest. The person does not become smaller by accepting their temperament. They often become more available because they are no longer fighting the basic design of their own mind. There is also a way in which introversion changes the meaning of home. For many people, home is a place of comfort, but for introverts it may be something more specific, the place where the nervous system is not being evaluated. Home is where speech is optional, where the face can soften, where attention can move without being pulled, where the person can be useful or silent or absorbed without needing to explain the state they are in. This is why a chaotic home can be especially difficult for an introvert. If the one place meant for recovery is itself full of unpredictable noise, constant demands, or emotional intensity, the introvert may feel as if there is nowhere to land. A good home for an introverted nervous system does not have to be large or perfectly quiet. It simply needs some form of protected space. A room, a corner, a chair, a balcony, a routine, a time of day. A place where the mind can stop preparing answers. A place where no one interprets silence as hostility. The psychological importance of such a space is easy to underestimate. It is not decoration. It is regulation made physical. The outer environment becomes a container for the inner one. This need for a protected inner life may explain why introverts can be especially sensitive to people who demand constant access. A person who asks, "What are you thinking?" every few minutes may believe they are seeking closeness, but to the introvert it can feel like someone opening drawers in a private room. The problem is not intimacy. The problem is forced immediacy. Many introverts are willing to share deeply, but they need to choose the moment and the form. Privacy is not secrecy. It is the space in which thoughts become ready to be shared. The opposite of privacy is not love. The opposite of privacy is exposure. Love may include access to private things, but healthy love does not require continuous exposure. This distinction matters because introverts are sometimes told that if they truly cared, they would speak more, share faster, respond instantly, or stay socially available. But care and exposure are different. A person can care deeply and still need to keep some parts of the mind unobserved until they are ready. In fact, The ability to choose what to share is part of what makes sharing meaningful. Introversion can also influence the way people experience beauty. A lower need for intense stimulation may make subtle beauty more available. The exact color of evening light, the sound of a page turning, the rhythm of rain, the small shift in a friend's expression, the feeling of a familiar song after years away. This does not mean extroverts cannot notice beauty. Of course they can. But introverts may build more of their emotional life around quiet, repeatable, low-intensity pleasures. Their happiness may be less like fireworks and more like a lamp left on in a window. This kind of happiness can be hard to defend in a culture that admires intensity. People are often asked whether they are having fun, as if fun were the highest form of well-being. But peace, absorption, meaning, and contentment are also forms of well-being. An introvert may not want more excitement. They may want more depth, more time, more safety, more beauty, more uninterrupted attention. The question is not whether their life looks lively enough from the outside. The question is whether it feels alive from the inside. The introvert's path to confidence often begins with trusting that inside view. Instead of asking, "Do I seem normal?" they begin asking, "What is actually true for me? What kind of social life leaves me nourished rather than depleted? What work allows my attention to become deep? Which people make quiet feel safe? Which obligations are real? And which are performances I inherited?" These questions are not selfish. They are how a person learns to arrange a life that does not constantly contradict the nervous system living inside it. There is a quiet courage in answering those questions honestly. It can take courage to leave early, to decline politely, to ask for time, to choose a smaller life in some visible ways so that it can be larger in invisible ones. It can take courage to stop translating every preference into an apology. It can take courage to be calm in a world that profits from agitation. The introvert's courage may not always look like dramatic confrontation. Sometimes it looks like remaining loyal to a quieter truth. And still, the introvert needs the world. The deepest inner life cannot replace all contact. Human beings regulate each other through voice, touch, shared laughter, eye contact, story, and presence. Introverts may need less frequent social contact than extroverts, or different kinds, but they still need to be known. A solitary life can be beautiful, but a life with no witness can become heavy. The healthy introvert does not worship isolation. They choose connection carefully enough that it can be real. This is the balance that runs through the whole science of introversion: sensitivity and strength, solitude and connection, depth and risk, privacy and expression, recovery and participation. Introversion is not one side of these pairs. It is the particular rhythm by which a person moves between them. Too much demand and the system closes. Too much isolation and the system thins. The right life allows movement. Outward when there is meaning, inward when there is need. Perhaps that is why introversion feels so suited to the hour before sleep. Sleep itself is an inward turn. The brain withdraws from the public world of response and enters a private state of processing, memory, repair, and dream. It does not disappear. It changes mode. In a gentle way, the introverted rhythm does something similar during waking life. It moves away from noise not to vanish, but to process. It returns from the world with impressions, carries them inward, and transforms them into understanding. So the science of introversion does not end with a command to change. It ends with a permission to understand. Understand the biology without becoming trapped by it. Understand the history without letting old shame define it. Understand the needs without making them excuses. Understand the strengths without turning them into superiority. Understand the quiet not as emptiness, but as a real human environment where attention, memory, creativity, and selfhood can gather themselves. And if tonight you are listening from that kind of quiet, there is no need to fill it. The quiet can be allowed to stay quiet. The mind can stop proving. The body can stop performing. The world can continue without your constant response for a while. Your thoughts can soften around the edges. Your attention can loosen. The room can hold you as you are, not louder, not brighter, not more socially impressive, but simply present, in the calm dignity of your own temperament. The quiet dignity of temperament is easy to forget because personality is often discussed as if it were a performance review. Be more confident. Be more outgoing. Be more spontaneous. Be more visible. But a nervous system is not improved by being scolded into a shape it was not built to hold all day. It is improved by being understood, trained gently where training is useful, protected where protection is wise, and given meaningful work that uses its natural strengths. An introvert can grow enormously without betraying introversion. They can become braver, clearer, warmer, more skilled, and more connected while remaining a person who needs quiet to feel whole. In fact, the strongest introverts are often not the ones who avoid all challenge. They are the ones who know when challenge serves life and when it merely satisfies someone else's expectation. They can step onto a stage for a message that matters, then leave before the reception drains them. They can lead a difficult meeting, then spend the evening alone. They can build a business, teach a class, raise children, love deeply, create publicly, and still protect a private center that belongs to them. This is not contradiction. It is integration. Integration may be the healthiest goal for any personality. The introvert integrates outward skills without losing inward depth. The extrovert integrates reflective skills without losing social vitality. The sensitive person integrates boundaries without losing openness. The bold person integrates caution without losing courage. Personality is not a verdict handed down at birth. It is a lifelong pattern of tendencies meeting choices. The tendencies are real, but the choices matter. A person is shaped by both, and the choices become easier when the shame is removed. A person who no longer believes their quietness is a defect can ask better questions. Not, how do I stop being this way? But, how do I live this way well? How do I connect without self-erasing? How do I rest without disappearing? How do I speak when speech matters? How do I protect the mind that does my deepest work? These are generous questions. They do not shrink life. They refine it. There is something profoundly calming in the idea that not every difference needs repair. Some differences need language. Some need accommodation. Some need practice. Some need protection. Some need to be honored as part of the human range. Introversion belongs to that range. It has produced scientists, writers, listeners, builders, healers, strategists, artists, careful friends, thoughtful parents, quiet leaders, and countless ordinary people whose lives are rich without being loud. The world would be poorer if every quiet child were successfully trained out of quietness. So let this be the final thought before sleep. The introverted mind is not a smaller mind. It is a mind with a different doorway. It opens slowly, often inward first, often in response to trust, meaning, beauty, and quiet. But when it opens, it can hold great depth. It can notice what others pass by. It can carry loyalty across years. It can build entire worlds in silence. It can return from solitude not empty-handed, but with something considered, something true, something shaped by the patience of being alone. This patience is not always visible in the moment. A quick culture may miss it. A loud room may miss it. A classroom or company built around immediate expression may miss it. But over time, patience leaves evidence. It appears in careful work, in friendships that last, in decisions that age well, in art that was revised until it became honest, in research that required years of attention, in the calm person who does not escalate conflict, in the listener who remembers the sentence everyone else forgot. Introversion is often a long-term signal in a short-term world. That long-term signal may be one of the reasons introverted people often feel more understandable to themselves later in life than they did when young. Childhood and adolescence reward obvious belonging. Adulthood, at its best, allows architecture. People can choose rooms, schedules, professions, partners, friendships, cities, rituals, and degrees of visibility. The introvert who once felt strange may later realize they were not wrong. They were simply living in settings that gave no space to their way of functioning. When the setting changes, the trait looks less like a problem and more like a design requirement. And design requirements are not moral failures. A plant that needs shade is not defective because it wilts in harsh sun. A deep-sea creature is not defective because it cannot live at the surface. A nocturnal animal is not defective because noon is too bright. Living systems have conditions. Human temperaments have conditions too. The introvert's conditions may include quiet, autonomy, depth, preparation, and meaningful connection. Under those conditions, the person may not merely cope. They may flourish. So if the day has been too bright, too crowded, too quick, or too full of other people's voices, there is nothing wrong with letting the night become simpler. No more proving. No more translating. No more trying to look more energetic than you feel. The science of introversion, in the end, is also a science of permission. Permission to respect the nervous system as it is. Permission to build a life with enough quiet in it. Permission to be kind to the part of the mind that does not grow louder when it becomes more alive. Sleep well. Good night.